Hey y'all, today on Scarlett's Intuitive Life, I'm going to be showing you how to make my mother-in-law's Raisin Bran muffins. My husband taught me how to make this recipe and it's a really good nutritious recipe to make. So come along with me, I'm going to show you how to make these really easy, simple Raisin Bran muffins. So you're going to need some Raisin Bran. I had some leftover Raisin Bran in my cupboard. As you can see, it turned out to be exactly 4 cups, and that is how much you're going to need for this recipe. For all the exact measurements, go check out my description. I have the actual recipe there with the exact measurements for you to see. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure this out. It did turn out to be 4 cups. My Raisin Bran had been sitting in the cupboard for a while. I want to let you know that if for some reason your Raisin Bran is a little bit stale or, just been sitting in the cupboard for a while, it is really still good for this recipe. It's going to soak in some liquid and I will show you how this is made. Okay, so this is a very simple recipe. And then once you have your muffins made, you can freeze them. So this recipe will actually make 24 muffins. So that's quite a bit of muffins. So what I end up doing is about freezing half of the recipe. So 12 of those muffins, I just go ahead and put them in a Ziploc freezer bag and freeze them in my freezer. And then I can take those out whenever I want. And I'll take the other half of the recipe muffins and just put those on my counter in a plastic bag next to my bread box, and we will have those throughout the week. So I don't mind eating these every day of the week, and that's because you can kind of doctor them up however you want. If you get bored with them, you can put cream cheese inside of them, just kind of slice them in half. You could put butter in them, you could put jelly in them, you can put honey, whatever you want, Nutella, whatever you want, you can put in them. And they're very good on the go breakfast as well. So if you have anybody in your family who is on the go and doesn't have a lot of time in the mornings, they could literally just pick up a muffin and go, and they actually already taste good just the way they are. So with this recipe, you'll find in my description all of the measurements of what I'm putting in there. This recipe is very forgiving. You don't need any fancy equipment. You see, I don't have my mixer out or anything like that. You can just go ahead and mix all of the ingredients together. You don't have to separate the wet from the dry or anything like that. So as you can see, I'm just kind of dumping everything in there. And this recipe, like I say, is very forgiving as well. If you do have, like I say, any Raisin Bran that might be getting a little stale or whatever, it doesn't really matter because the cereal will soak in the milk, and that's how it kind of gets soft and makes the muffins really yummy. So you can just let it soak in there, and so it doesn't matter. The Raisin Bran doesn't have to be like really crunchy or anything like that. So check out my description for the actual recipe. And some of the additional things that are, that you can add into your recipe are things like extra raisins. You could add in some nuts. You could add in chocolate chips, whatever you want, coconut flakes. I've added a few things in my recipe description there for you to look at some additional things you can add in. As I'm making them, I like to make them just plain. So just using Raisin Bran and the regular ingredients. So I'm not adding anything extra into mine. So this recipe calls for some baking soda. And so I'm just kind of finishing up adding my dry ingredients in here. And I'm going to use my favorite wooden spoon and mix everything up. And then one of the things that you may or may not see in this video is you can let this cereal soak in there for about 5 minutes is what you can do to make sure that it tastes really, really soft and yummy. So if you over mix your ingredients, it can get quite tough. So it's better just to kind of mix them together where they're all incorporated together and just let it sit and soak. That's what I would recommend. So as I'm filming this, or I'm doing the voiceover for this, my cat Sasha is kind of in the background meowing. I just fed her dinner, but she's meowing quite a bit. I'm not sure why, but I hope that's not distracting to any of y'all. But that's Sasha there in the background. If you can somehow hear her, I don't know how well the sound picks up her meows. So as you can see, I'm just kind of mixing it like this. making the batter, and then I'm just gonna let it sit for a little bit while I get all of my muffin tin liners and everything ready for it. One of the things that I recommend using is like a cookie scoop, or like a small measuring cup like I have. I'll show you in just a minute. Something to measure out your batter into the cupcake liners, that way that they're all even. So I have some cupcake liners here. I'm just using some white ones that I had. I actually cleaned out my spice cabinet the other night, and in the spice cabinet I had some of these cupcake liners, and they're a little funky. You can see they're not like just fitting in there just right. They were bent, but I still want to use them up. They're still good, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pour the batter into them, and they should be fine. But anyhow, those are my kind of misshapen cupcake liners. So what I'm going to use is this scoop, which is just literally another measuring cup, and it's just going to help me to make sure that all of my muffins are the same size, and I'm using the same amount of batter per muffin. So these muffins will rise in size. They'll kind of almost double. So just be aware of that. And like I said, they'll make about 24 muffins. I ended up making some pretty, some bigger muffins later on. I'll show you how that turns out, but they make 24 of the regular size, cupcake sized muffins. If you like bigger muffins, which sometimes can be, kind of nice to have those bigger muffins, they feel more luxurious, they just, sometimes they're softer and bigger. You can use the bigger muffins as well, and it'll just probably make about 12. It'll probably make some, about half of that. So just go ahead and put your batter into your cupcake liners, and just, make sure that you get everything in there. I'm kind of having to work with these funky cupcake liners, just making sure they fit in there. But all in all, it's all good. And like I say, you can let this batter just kind of sit for a little bit and soak in the wet ingredients so that the Raisin Bran gets softer. I personally don't mind it being a little bit crunchier and feeling the flakes in there, which is kind of rare, but sometimes you do. To me, that tastes good, so I don't mind it. But if you don't like to feel the flakes in there and you just want to, have kind of this cake-like muffin, go ahead and let it soak for the whole 5 minutes. So this recipe is something that my husband introduced me to. His mother would make these muffins once a week, and they would do the same thing, kind of have them for breakfast, and they were just a nutritious breakfast that they would have. And I'm going to show you at the very end of this video how his mother would make them. I talked a little bit in the beginning about how you can dress them up with, maybe cream cheese or butter or, honey. I'll show you just how she prepared them. And it's probably the best way that you could prepare them. So if you're making these for the first time and you want to really enjoy them, I would recommend, doing them the way I do them at the very end. But however you do them, comment down below if you end up making these. Let me know, what you added to them, how you made them, or, what did you put inside of them? Let me know down below if you try this recipe. I would really appreciate that. So if you are new here, I put out videos on different kinds of content. I make recipes. I also do vlogging and homesteading type content. So if you are new here, I really encourage you to subscribe and come back. I would love to have you come back and spend some time with me here at my home. So I have just filled up all of those muffin tins, 12, and this is what I have left, about half of that batter mix. So this is what it looks like. I filled them halfway because they do rise double in size. So that is what it looks like. I'm gonna set these aside, and I have my oven preheating. So pretty soon I'm gonna go ahead and probably do another batch of these muffins in a different pan. This is the other pan I have. It's kind of an older pan. You know, I don't go for aesthetics here. It's all real life content. And so this muffin pan, I've had this forever. It's not the prettiest of pans, but it is a little bit bigger of a pan. It has, I think, 6 muffin spots for it. And I'm going to fill these a little bit more and kind of overfill them and make some bigger muffins on this pan. And I hope that that'll use up all of the rest of this batter. And then we can just go ahead and bake them together. So as I'm doing this, like I said, I have my oven preheating. You're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And as you bake them, they're going to bake in the oven for about 20 minutes. And you're going to want to check on them. You don't want them to over bake. I even sometimes check them at 18 minutes, but they're usually not done. But I like to kind of baby them and monitor them, and that's because I don't like them to get over baked. If you like them a little bit over baked, then go ahead. But I like mine just barely baked and still moist and just kind of barely, you know, baked like that. So I'll show you how mine turn out. So I'm using up the rest of the batter here. It does look like if I overfill these, I will have used up all of the batter. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. I may still have a little tiny bit of batter still left. And I think I'll walk over and overfill some of the, or not overfill, but just kind of, you know, add a little bit to the rest of the other smaller muffins I have sitting on my stove. So those are the 12 muffins that I had just fixed just a minute ago. So I'm just putting a little bit extra in there, and then I'm going to put that bowl into the sink, and we will be ready to bake these muffins. Okay, so as you can see, we've cleaned that bowl pretty good. Here is what these muffins look like. They're filled a little bit more. They're not super huge, you know, like those big luxurious muffins, but they're a little bigger. Here I'm moving my camera over just a little bit so that you can see as I put everything into the oven. There's my 12 muffins. I'm going to go ahead and put those straight into the oven. My oven is already preheated at 350 degrees. And there goes in the other 6 muffins. So there you can see my oven is preheated to 350. And here's what the muffins look like in the oven as I just put them in there. All right, so here they are. It's just like magic. Now they're out. And this is just how I like them. They're just perfect. I got them out, and I think they were in there for about 22 minutes this time. And that's what they look like. These are the 12 muffins that were a little bit smaller. And these are going to be my 6 muffins that I told you I kind of overfilled just a little bit. This is what those look like. And my muffin tin looks a little super old, but that's what it looks like. And here is what I'm going to do to fix my muffins. I'm going to use some Country Crock butter spread and some Concord grape jelly. And this is the way my mother-in-law would make the muffins for my husband. And so all you do is slice it in half. You put some of the butter spread on one side and jelly on the other, and just smash it together and just bite straight into it. It is so good and yummy. So that is how you make Raisin Bran muffins. These are so good, y'all. I hope that y'all make them and let me know how that goes. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will catch you on our next video. Thanks for watching.